Yo, what's good, everybody? Today is February the 10th, 2026. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for letting us see another day. Thank you, God, for your goodness, your mercy, and your grace. We ask you, God, that you bless this broadcast as well as our viewers and tonight's guests and our family as well. We just ask you that you just be a blessed conversation, and we invite you into it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yo, what's good, everybody? How everybody doing? I'm going to start out by saying happy born day to Tamara Perry, who's a former guest, as well as Miss Cookies to you, Miss Angela. Happy born day to both of them. In particular, both of them have birthdays this past week. And then today, our top viewer, commenter, and everything else, my man Julian Capel. Happy born day, Jew. I'm not. I won't be surprised if I don't see you in the comments tonight on the show, because I know that you. Hey, what's good, Sam? I know that you probably celebrating your born day. Well, happy born day, my boy. Love you, man. I'm proud of you. Keep on doing what you're doing, man. Um, cheers to 53, bro. Happy for you, man. Um, with that being said, too, I always want to send out my condolences to the whole Essex County. We lost Mike C, who was an MC. I posted him maybe a year and a half ago. Um, People was like, who's this homeless dude spitting like that? Because Redman is a video that Redman was shooting, and a lot of people. Hey, what's good, Jen? Hope you feeling better. Y'all been praying for you, girl. I said I was gonna call and check up on you. I just been a little bit busy, but I hope that you're feeling better. And thanks for tuning in. Um, but Mike C was super duper nice. When I posted it yesterday, reposted it rather, the video with him spitting. Uh, I captioned it, arguably maybe the greatest MC to come out of Essex County, and that's saying a lot. Being that we have, the Fugees, we have Redman, we got you name it, you got Tretch, you got Queen Latifah. There's many people from our area, but Mike C, he was like the OG. So condolences to him and his family, and just the hip hop community in general. I even seen Yo Yo from a West Coast female post a picture with him, them two together at a particular show, whatever the case may be. But prayers to his family, prayers to the hip hop community and everybody surrounded. Um, with that being said, let's get into the show, man. Um, before I introduce tonight's guest, oh, congratulations, Go Hills. That's why I got my shirt on tonight. It's been a good weekend in the sports world for some of us. Some of us not as fortunate, but we'll get into that. Um, Tonight we got with us returning again. This is the second time. No, actually, I think it might be the third time on the show. I'm not
No,
sure. But
it's my second.
second, okay. Um, Returning to the show. She's an educator. She's an author. She's beautiful inside and out. I love her spirit. I love everything about her. Um, Miss Shayna. Mrs. Shayna, she's joining us this evening to chop it up. Tell
Yeah.
people a little bit about yourself.
All right. So just to piggyback off of Marvin, I am an educator, mom of two, wife, originally from Massachusetts. What people would call the field, Springfield Basketball Hall of Fame, for those who know that. Um, just a person that enjoys life, very grateful, appreciative. I always think about those things consistently, just checking myself to be grateful every day. I look at the news and that gives me perspective. I look at things around me that gives me perspective. So one thing I want to say about myself is that I'm grateful, appreciative of just life, just grateful to God for being alive. One of those people.
Absolutely. Hey,
Yeah.
what's good, Drew? I just gave you a born day shout out. I didn't even know if you was gonna be tuning in tonight with it being your special day, man. But glad to see you here. Nothing but love, man. I appreciate you and the support, man. Again, I hope you had a wonderful day with the fam and everything else. Um, so you just mentioned how you're from Springfield, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, them Patriots did not win the Super Bowl. Um,
And
and
you
also
started
in college
out like
basketball, she as smart and as educated as she is, I have no idea why she chooses to root for the school in Durham,
that.
uh,
That was
being
by
from
default.
Massachusetts.
That's by default. I gotta be honest. That's by default. My family, they cheer for the Patriots. I was kind of born into it.
Okay,
And so, I went along with that. I mean, I wasn't born into the other team, but I was
yeah,
born into.
that deserves that needs more of an explanation than the Patriots.
Listen, I was born into that. And I'm gonna be honest, they were garbage the other day. And so I had a point where I was like, "Ooh, goodness, do I need to be loyal to this type of activity?" I mean, whew, but you gotta be loyal. You gotta be loyal. But right now, I'm ashamed to even say that I'm a Patriots fan. Right now, I put this up in my stories. That whole game could have been an email
I'm about
for
to
us
ask, what
Pats
did you think of the Super Bowl overall? And you
fans. Say it
guys,
again.
you just say, what did you think of the Super Bowl overall as an entity? And you guys go with your comments or questions in the comment section as well.
Listen, you probably already know what direction I'm going in because I'm a Pats fan. If I was a Seahawks fan, I'd have been like, yes, awesome. Everything was awesome. But for me, the highlight of the night was Bad Bunny.
Okay. And yeah,
That
we're
was the
gonna get
highlight
on
for
that too. A lot of people was complaining about the game itself. Me personally, being a football fan, I was surprised I actually watched it. I believe that this might have been the first game that I've watched in its entirety uh, since the season actually started.
me.
For
Wow.
for different reasons, I don't really follow sports as much as I used to, and as much as people believe. Um,
I'm shocked to hear
you
that
know,
myself.
yeah, and people. I was having a conversation this weekend, and somebody was saying the same thing. Somebody has known me for a while, and it's like, what? And my thing is, uh, the older I get, one, I don't have the space and energy to be uh in love. I fell out of love with sports. I used to be in love with sports. I don't
Mm,
have the energy for it, and my thing is always in question the integrity of sports as a whole, particularly in this era that we're living in now with legalized gambling. Um, there's always been rumors of scripted plays. We have Arian Foster, who used to play for the Houston Texans, talk about that. Larry Fitzgerald, Larry Johnson, former Kansas City Chief, he spoke about it as well. I had posted something that he shared about 2 weeks ago. He was saying that it was going to be the Seahawks and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and he was giving numerology reasons why and how everything is scripted and this here and
yeah.
that there. And I think just like I said, with legalized gambling, there's too many. It's too much room for error. We see so many bad calls here. You wonder. I wonder how much does Vegas play into this? Even during the Super Bowl, here it is. You had what's good, Janelle. You had all these different betting site commercials, and people doing it over and under. So I don't know. I don't really trust the integrity of sports anymore like I used to. So I don't know how much of it is. It's not for the love of the game anymore. We don't. We not, I don't believe that we're seeing pure sports or I believe it's more or less entertainment. At least with
Uh-huh.
WWE growing up, back then it was the WWF, which is the WWE now. At least we know that it was entertainment. It wasn't actual fighting. We knew exactly what we were watching, and we would still move by it. Now, I wouldn't have any problem if the NBA and the NFL chose that route to say that we're just formally entertainment, we're not professional athletes, and then cool. But for me personally, I thought the game wasn't as bad as everybody else makes it to be. It wasn't exciting as typical Super Bowls, or you would want the Super Bowl to be. But me, like I said, from a purist standpoint of football, um, I love a great defensive game. Um, and it was great. It was good defense played on both sides of the ball. I believe it was the third quarter before the Patriots even scored.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Seattle defense was superb, and everything can't be high scoring. I mean, I love a good defensive game. I have no problem with sitting through a game that ends in the score 9-3 or whatever. You just get field goals, no touchdowns because the defense was that great. Now, if it's just sloppy football playing, there's a reason that is a low. That's something totally different. But I thought it was a good defensive game. Um, and as far as I know that the NFL didn't want it, like my friend Rodney said. I know the NFL didn't want it because uh, the ratings. I didn't even check the numbers, but I'm quite sure that the ratings wasn't what it what they anticipated or what they would have wanted with it being the Seahawks and the Patriots, because we first of all we're so used to this Patrick Mahomes era, the big names, Saquon Barkley, you know we didn't see any of that. We had the Drake
No.
May and,
Yeah.
and Sam Darnold, who became, congratulations to Sam Darnold as well, becoming the first quarterback to play for 5 different teams and actually win a Super Bowl in the first year there. Um, hey, what's good, Ab? Um, it was just overall, eh, you know what I mean. But it by far wasn't the best. I don't
No.
know if it was the worst that I've seen, but it wasn't the best either. But I don't
Mm-mm.
think the night was like very horrible. Um,
So
so
boring. So someone who doesn't watch, like, I don't watch football regularly, but for someone
okay.
who doesn't watch it regularly, oh my gosh, I could have watched paint dry. Like, I mean, I was watching it for my team, but
Mm, yeah.
yeah.
So what was your thoughts on like I said, you guys can share your thoughts as well in the comment section. Um, this whole Bad Bunny. I'm gonna let you go first. I want to hear, your take and you guys take on the halftime show. What was you guys' thoughts before I even share mine?
Well, I'll go on and start. Um, I just, for me, I just felt like it was necessary for the times. Like, we know that that community is like under attack right now, right? So I felt like I had a couple of things I thought about it. Number one, I felt like it was great for the times. I felt like that the Hispanic community needed to be seen with everything going on, including ICE, all of that stuff. And I also felt that it was like almost like digging under the skin of those folks. Like, it was digging at them, letting them know, hey, we're American citizens. We are Puerto Rico, and we're right here in your face. They were sort of poking the bear. And I was okay with all of it. Like, it displayed talent, it displayed creativity. Um, I was actually, I was very, very entertained by it. I have a few coworkers at my job who are Hispanic, and they said that they cried. Like, I didn't know it was that emotional for them, but there were certain parts that they connected with, like certain stores and certain foods and certain scenes. And I went and spoke to one of my coworkers, one of the Spanish teachers, and she said it was so emotional, I cried. And I felt like that was needed for this time.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Anybody else saying anything? Hey, what's good, James? I had just finished saying that before you had made that comment, James. I'm glad we agreed on stuff. I thought it was a good defensive game too, but thanks for tuning in. Um, Sam said visual was great. Performance was stadium was dead. Yeah, and I agree with that assessment, or you know, and I want to say stating the obvious, but yeah, one with me. All right, so for me, um, like I always say, my coach used to always tell us this, and I definitely understand what he meant, especially the older I get. But opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Let's start there. Um, but for me personally, for you to be literally hating, and I say we always use the word, overuse this word hate. Um, but in this particular case, if you're hating on the Super Bowl performance simply because you don't understand Spanish, it
Yeah,
says more about your ignorance than anything else in the world to
yeah,
me. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's my opinion. Um, you remove the Spanish aspect of it. I remember last year with K Dot, with
yeah,
Kendrick's performance. A lot of people was critiquing that, but it's almost like the game or the streets. I don't expect somebody that not a part of the game to
yes,
understand game culture. there was so much in the Kendrick. Oh man, it was this. It was boring, and I didn't get it. Okay, then you didn't get it. It doesn't.
Right.
That's the thing about art, and that's what I was saying this time last year with the Kendrick. I love art because art is interpretation. Sam said, Am said I didn't understand the word, but I was vibing. Absolutely. Sam said we have a home in Puerto Rico. I love how he showed how bad the power grid was. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you brought that up, Sam, because I got something I'm gonna read too. Um, but yeah, it's like Kendrick's whole message behind it, just the music for people that don't understand how art works. Is painting a picture, and pictures we all look at the same exact picture and see totally different things. There's
Mm-hmm.
no right answer. There is no wrong answer. That was the beautiful thing about the Bad Bunny situation to me, and even with Kendrick Lamar, even opening up with the stands looking like a PlayStation controller. People didn't understand that. Okay, this is where he's going to go down a rabbit hole. We are living in the matrix. We're in this video game. We're playing a game that we don't even know that we're a part of. He was trying to wake you up to different things and different aspects. It wasn't just a rapper up there dancing on the car and Serena Williams coming out,
On the clock.
crip walking because she used to go with Drake and we always want to cross too many T's and dot too many I's, where as opposed to just enjoying the experience. Um, Me personally, I grew up in Newark with Puerto Ricans, so I always loved the Spanish culture. Um, and for me, one of my biggest regrets in life is that I didn't take learning Spanish more serious. I wish I had um, but I wanted to take French in high school because I wanted to be a lover, and they said that French was the language of romance.
Romance language.
So I'm going with French. I can't speak a word of French either.
I did French too.
I
I
can
did
read it.
French.
I can read it, but I can read it better than I could speak it. But they also couldn't show subtitles because of Bad Bunny lyrics. Okay, I'm glad I didn't know that saying, but I get that, and that makes sense to me too. And that's what everybody keeps saying. Like, all right, so that's why I said it speaks to people's ignorance. You know, a lot of people were saying stuff similar to that. Well, he didn't say one word in English. They could have subtitles and this here, that there. Okay, he's a Spanish speaking artist. Why would he speak American just because it's in the Super Bowl? They knew exactly who they booked for this halftime show. If they
Right.
had got Pavarotti to sing opera, rest in peace to Pavarotti, during the halftime show, I'm quite sure they wouldn't ask him to translate those words into
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
It takes away from the performance. He's the number one selling artist in the world, not America, in the world right now. So let that man do what he do.
Yeah.
Um, there were so many different layers
So many.
in the performance too. And I just finished watching it and rewatching it again. I only seen one thing that disturbed me. Uh, when they had these two dudes, I don't even know how to describe it, but um, Sam said he sings a lot about LGBTQ and trans. Yeah,
He
and
is.
I did see that and doing research about it before the halftime show. He's like they biggest one of their biggest activists and spokespersons, and they love him. Um, but matter of fact, let me get it pulled up because I seen somebody post something that I thought was pretty profound, and I'm glad you said what you said too, saying about your coworkers because I know someone. I reached out to one of my Puerto Rican friends, and they said that it was just kind of okay for them. They were kind of disappointed. So, and that's what I liked about it. It's totally objective. There is no right or wrong.
Let me ask a question.
Okay.
And I don't know. Has there ever been a major performance by a person of the Hispanic community during the Super Bowl at all?
Yeah, you had J Lo and you had um, Shakira a couple years
Okay.
ago. But this was the first male.
But this, I mean, it was just, I think the times just were different. Like when I was in
Mhm.
high school, it was Shakira and J Lo, and they were, into, I don't know, it was different. I just think, like you said earlier, there were so many layers and things to think about, stage setup and messages that he was trying to convey through what he was doing. I didn't have to understand everything to understand what he was saying and trying to do. If you look in the back of him when he was walking toward the conclusion of his performance, it mentioned that the only thing stronger than hate was love. That was all in
Mm,
English. He could have put
mm.
that in Spanish too if he wanted to, but that's what he was trying to convey. I feel like overall,
Yeah,
and I'm
even the message on the football that he shows, like we are all one or whatever it said
yeah, that's
before he
what the
slams it.
message was.
Um, but again, so and that's another interesting question too that I think that we have to factor into it. Like, when did the Super Bowl show become so political and about messages as opposed to just artistry? You
Yeah,
know, Prince Prince wasn't trying to display no message. He just killed it. Michael Jackson,
50 Cent.
he came out on stage and literally stood there for 2 minutes while the world screamed and cried. There was no message to that. It was just
Right.
Michael being Michael. Like, when did this transition that we have to say something, we have to take this opportunity, as opposed to just giving us a good musical performance? I don't know when that
I
cultural
think the
shift has
transition was
changed.
recently. Like
I believe
I'm
so
like you.
too.
Like when I mean I understand like your question saying like when did it happen, but I feel like within the last like 3-4 years dealing with everything going on in the climate. Like I think that everything is aligning. I think it's aligning up with people trying to figure out different ways to get messages to people.
Sam said he sings about the sexual acts, not just an advocate for it. Okay. Ab said, "Yep." Sam said he did go a little bit overboard with the sugar canes though. Laugh out loud. MJ had a message about AIDS. He did. MJ did have a message about that, but it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like this day and age is almost like mandatory for you to have a message. You can't just go out there and perform. And I don't know if it was me going up there, I wouldn't care what y'all think. Either I'm gonna give a message if I want to give a message, but if I'm just up there to do music, I'm just gonna do music. You know what I mean? Because that's what they hired me for.
I'm gonna
Um,
be honest. I think like it was strategic with Bad Bunny. Like I'm I didn't know a ton about him prior to the performance. And I think like what he did was supposed to be memorable and supposed to get him more out there, in my opinion. And I thought it was very tactful. It was
no,
it was
it was
awesome.
very strategic for the simple fact, and I thought about it too because I was enjoying the game. I say that, but it was funny to me how they would even cut to an ice commercial right after Bad Bunny performance. Like, again, y'all playing right in our faces. Like,
Yeah.
here it is. Why does Ice have a commercial? Period.
No, that, but also someone. This could have been just people trying to get people riled up on the internet because I do believe that that happens. But
Mm-hmm.
somebody said that they had lists of artists who were U.S. citizens and who were not. Like they were like the Who, Rihanna, no, not U.S. citizens, and Bad Bunny was the only one out of the whole group that was considered a U.S. citizen. Did you catch that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. That's why everybody was. That's what. In another, I didn't get into it last week, but that's another thing with Nicki Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is not a U.S. citizen. That's one of the reasons she's pandering up to Trump and everything else because she's literally not a citizen yet. Um, so supposedly she's paid $1 million to get her citizen. Like, I believe he's selling
That
uh
gold card.
citizenship. Like, yeah,
Remember that gold card was fake.
hey, people getting them just like those people that got pardoned his first time around. Let them tell you that those pardons are fake. They out of jail now. Kwame
Yeah,
Brown is one of them.
yeah.
Kodak Black another one. Thomas. Hey, what's good, TJ? Said I think it was a dope that they did a real wedding at the performance. Yeah, that was dope. Sometimes people need to be quiet if they are not versed on the subject. Don't just talk just to talk. Billie Eilish about to lose her house. A lot of countries have gold visa programs. Um, yeah, that's a good point too, Sam. And that's initially what I was saying. Like, it's one thing to say that you didn't enjoy the performance, but to be hating, who was it?
Right.
I didn't even know this chick name. I know her name, but I've never seen her before until I seen the clip this previous weekend. The Megan Kelly chick. uh, how devastated and blasphemous it was for Bad Bunny to be up there and this here and that there, and it's like these people they can just get too carried away. It's like
They
it's almost like people show how, especially those type of people. I don't want to name a particular race, but they almost show how narcissistic they are as the president is, where everything has to be about us. Everything has to be, you know what I mean? Like, why does everything come back to white America? We got to pay tribute to white America in some type of aspect. Now, one of the problems that I did have with the performance was, um, I didn't understand the purpose of Lady Gaga being there. Me personally, like, why? If me personally, I would if they go on the especially trying to send messages and having Bad Bunny for whatever reasons. I had seen something before the Super Bowl too, was saying something about they had some new headphones. That was a part of the big thing when they signed them, that they had signed that came out with some headphones. I don't remember if it was Apple or who, but supposedly when they first announced him last year that he was going to be the halftime show, that these headphones, it was going to tie in with the release of these headphones, and you'd be able to listen to the performance with these headphones, and it had translated what he was saying for you. So that could have been a whole marketing thing too, as well. Like I said, with the corporation and the way they do things nowadays. But me personally, I would have preferred an all Hispanic performance. I didn't understand the purpose of Lady Gaga. Um, and then to have Cardi B in there, but just like at the house party scene, I would have liked the scene, if anything, just to try to appease the people. Let Cardi do a verse of something, one of her songs. You know what I mean? People know enough about her, and she is Puerto Rican. Um, he needed a performer that wasn't Hispanic. Gaga was the token artist. That's what I'm saying. Me personally, I would have just rather seen all Hispanic. You know what I mean? Let them have a moment. Let them have their moment.
yep.
Um, you know, like if they have, which we will never see, but if there was a gospel artist, I don't want to see, them bring out a rock and roll star just for the sake of inclusion or whatever the case may be. Just let them have a moment in that. Yeah, it was good. As they, um, so that threw me off. And I was wondering, was that Ricky Martin? Then my Puerto Rican friend reminded me. She confirmed that was Ricky Martin. So it was cool to see Ricky Martin out there. Um, but again, so I wanted to read this here. So this was a good breakdown. And shout out to my cousin Katisha, because she reshared it from somebody else that posted it. Armando, I don't even want to jack up his last name. But this is what he read. This is what he wrote. Bad Bunny's performance wasn't just music. It was layered with coded messages about Puerto Rico, colonialism, resistance, culture, and survival. Every image was intentional. He goes on to say it opens up a surrogate's field. Oh, it opens up in sugarcane fields. After the U.S. took control of Puerto Rico in 1898, American sugar corporations seized land, displaced farmers, depleted the soil, and extracted wealth. Sugarcane became a tool of colonial exploitation. He passes the cocoa Fria stand. This reference, Coca Cola Ya Coco Fria, by Louis Matos, where Coca Fria represents native Puerto Rican culture resisting U.S. culture imperialism. Passing it symbolized how colonial pressure forces people away from their own culture. That's deep. The violins in the sugarcane fields created deliberate contrast. European classical instruments placed in a colonized landscape reflects Puerto Rico's layered identity. Spanish influence over indigenous African roots. Beauty surviving inside exploitation. The Puerto Rico wedding scene is deeply symbolic. Weddings are community rituals, family, music, continuality. In a place shaped by migration, marriage represents staying, building, and passing culture forward. Then the women dancing on the electricity poles symbolize Puerto Rico's ongoing energy crisis. Rolling blackouts, days without powers, dependence on generators, electricity becomes unstable, just like political control over the island's infrastructure. Bad Bunny never explain any of this. He doesn't need to. The message isn't for everyone. It's for those who recognize it. This was art as history, performance as protest, culture refusing to disappear. And I thought that was a good assessment. I thought that was a real good assessment of it because, like I said earlier, before I even read that, I don't even remember reading that part. But like I said earlier, the message, if you didn't get the message, then it wasn't for you. And
Right.
that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to hate on it because you didn't understand the message. Everybody that goes to church doesn't always feel the preacher that particular Sunday. It's okay. You know what I mean? We got to stop being taking everything so personal and being so emotional about everything.
Right.
Um, as they say, hey, they're good people. Just drop it through with the Puerto Rico joy, no doubt. America won. America won Puerto Rico through the Spanish American War and was surrendered by Spain in defeat. Mm. You know, I ain't never going back and forth with you on history, Sam. You know more than I do. um, but yeah, man. So, and I thought that was a good point too because I didn't. After reading that, it made me appreciate the performance a little bit more. Because I didn't know that Sugar Canes there was very pivotal as far as like even here in the state of North Carolina, like tobacco is like one of the biggest comers of the country, but most of it comes right here from this state. Sam said I drink sugarcane water every morning in Puerto Rico. It's one of the healthiest things you can consume.
Wow.
If you aren't Puerto Rican or you, as they said, if you aren't Puerto Rican or understand the culture, issue, etc., then you were probably lost during the halftime show. And that's what I'm saying. That's it's okay. I can remember
That
half.
was fun.
Now I wish I had looked it up before that. But guess what, people? Before Bad Bunny, before K Dot, I've been watching the Super Bowl since the '80s. Not all Super Bowl halftime shows have been great. There have been some that we can't remember,
Yeah.
like some that we chose not to even watch. I remember one year in particular because I always look forward to the halftime show. But this one particular year, I forgot what year it was, but I want to say '92 or '91, somewhere around there. But in Living Color, that was the first year that it came out. I'm not watching. I don't care who was performing during the halftime show. I'm turning over to watch In Living Color. In Living Color stole the ratings. That was Fox first year
Wow.
as a thing. But what did we do, especially as black folk? We turned off the halftime show and they timed it just perfect. Where they actually had an in loving show, live show, during the halftime show. Thought that was
Wow.
a genius for Keenan Ivy Wayne's. As they say, that's a fact. There was a handful of horrible shows in the last 15 years. Sam said Katy Perry sucked. Don't you talk about that white, beautiful young lady.
Wow.
uh, you know, she's America's sweetheart. But yeah, that's the whole point. So the halftime show is not I think we making too much out of it. Me personally. I thought he was a decent choice considering, like I said, some of those names that we named before. But it was like, who was it? Shakira and J
Mm-hmm.
Lo. I don't think that was a good Super Bowl, but I enjoyed watching it. Let me say to say the least. as a as a male, I definitely enjoyed watching it. But I don't think that it was a great performance. I don't even think that it was a good choice. So I get, like I said, worldwide, Bad Bunny is like the number one artist. He had the I forgot how many, but it was crazy numbers. That's the only reason I know his name.
135 million views.
Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Not now. I'm not talking about just the Super Bowl. I'm talking about how many records he sold and streamed over the last 2 or 3 years. Hey, what's good, Ty? I was just about to talk about that. So at my last job, um, we used to have a lot of drivers that would come in. That's how I got to know who Bad Bunny was because a lot of our drivers were, you know, from different places. I don't want to just say Puerto Rican, but we had a bunch of Venezuelan, uh, Dominican, Ecuadorian, uh, all over. And they would come in blasting that music. I'm like, yo, what's that, man? And like, I would ask them, well, what he's saying in this song, and they would get a kick out of like trying to translate for me. But a lot of the music I actually enjoyed, you know what I mean? And another one of my friends, she made a good comment too. She's like, for everybody that was like, you don't speak Spanish. Matter of fact, I don't even want to jack it up because it was that good. It says, don't go book SHIT going to Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cancun, Spain. Nothing. You don't want to hear no Spanish, right? And
Yep.
stay your ass out the corner stores for all my people up north. I thought that was hilarious. You know what I mean? It is funny. Everybody want to talk about, man, I don't understand. I want to hear that Spanish and all that thing. All right, well, that's a good point. Stop going to Cancun and all these other places because that's what you go ahead. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Um, but that's one of the, and I'm glad she posted that too, because like I said, that's one of my highlights. Even when I go home now to Jersey, I'm always going to the corner stores, and I love going. Hey, what's up, Poppy? Been a minute since I seen you. I love talking to my Puerto Rican brothers and hearing the Spanish music and them vibing to it. I love it. I love it. I don't have to understand it for me to love it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a lover of music, period. But I appreciate them actually embracing their culture because even toward the end, where he brought out not just Puerto Rico, he spoke about the El Salvadorians, Colombians, the Mexicans, all
Haiti.
the Hispanics.
Oh,
You know, yeah, exactly. That we all are one. So I think that there's room for everybody. And it doesn't have to always be about white America at the end of the day. Period. But that's
they
my
had their own halftime show. They had their own halftime show.
oh my goodness. So I wanted to get into that too. Like of course, I didn't know anything about it until literally yesterday, because I seen somebody post and was like, "Did anybody watch the other halftime show?" Before I click on it, I was just wondering what you guys' thoughts were, and I'm like, "What other halftime show?" And I didn't know anything about it, and that goes to show you what I was saying about how narcissistic we are as a thing,
Mhm.
as a country, and all that. There, why in the world would Kid Rock, whoever else was a part of it, why in the world would you have this rebellious,
Yep.
fake little
Dirty
halftime
white.
show to try to compete or combat Bad Bunny because you don't support that choice, and because the president himself didn't support
But here's the kicker. I saw that a lot of them that were supposed to be at that show was tuning in to Bad Bunny.
it. I don't understand it. Like, what was the purpose other than making you look like an idiot? In my opinion, who does that? Who try to upstage the halftime show
Show.
by doing who? So who was a part of this halftime show? Do you know?
All I know was Kid Rock. Kid Rock was like one of the main headliners, but
And I heard
everybody
that
else
I
were
think they were supposed to
nobodies.
be like on a little tour, but that got canceled supposedly after Luda dropped out because Luda was getting bad press for being a part of it and whatnot.
Luda was
So
supposed to be a part of that.
yeah, Luda was definitely a
Oh, I
part of
didn't
it.
know that.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm
I
glad
don't know
he
about the
dropped out.
halftime show, but he was supposed to be a part of some MAGA tour that they were supposed to be doing,
Oh
or whatever
God,
the case may be. Uh,
they're always
the,
going after the black rappers. Nelly,
the
like, why are they
TPUS show
doing
was
that?
recorded a few days prior. It wasn't live. Okay,
Okay,
got you. All right. So Sam, that helps a little bit. That helps a little bit. Uh,
what did he say?
he said that it was recorded a few days prior to the Super Bowl. It wasn't live.
Uh, they tuned
But
in.
why
They
would
still
they? Yeah. Well, why would you even call it like a halftime?
right.
Whatever. I didn't even click on it. I was like, I had no interest in it whatsoever. The same way y'all didn't have no interest in Bad Bunny, I had no interest in you, seeing
Right.
you, or what you were performing, or what you were trying, what your message was, anything else.
We know
Um,
what their message was. We know.
yeah.
We know.
So how are we feeling about the and I'm gonna let y'all comment on this. I don't really have a take on this. I'm gonna just moderate this part. Tyrone said kid crack. How did you guys feel about the man in charge, the president of the United States, and his little meme with the Michelle and Barack Obama as monkeys?
It's a mess. It's a mess. Like it's just a sign of the times that we're in. Like, how is that acceptable? Like somewhere he felt like that was okay when it's not. Somewhere somebody made him feel like that was okay, that the climate would be okay with that. And that's a problem. Like when I seen it, I literally, it's to the point now where I am no longer surprised at anything anymore. Even before that came through, I seen it, I was like, okay, like nothing surprises me anymore, and that's sad. That's just
Yeah,
sad. Like nothing, and I'm easy to surprise. I'm always one that's like, oh really? But no, that didn't surprise me at all. Like somewhere, somebody thought that was okay.
yeah. To me, it was more or less crazy coming from the president of the United States, or his account, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
But and it's in no defense, period. Um, but I do believe that, like Cam and Mace, they like to say it all the time now, rage bait. I
yeah,
believe a lot of it was to actually rage bait us and to get us in there, because every time I see it, they keep showing that part of it. But I seen something on TikTok or either YouTube where it was pretty much a Lion King song where they had changed and put faces on all the different animals. But the reason I call it hate rage is because they keep just showing Michelle and
the
Barack
one
Obama.
part.
Yeah. And it's like it's intentional trying to get people all emotional. How
Yeah,
dare you and all that there? Because they got Hillary on something. It's a whole bunch of them, like pretty much the whole Democratic Party. Um, and hey, what's good, Ed? Ed said, "What you talking about, bro?" We talked about the Super Bowl and the halftime show. What's your thoughts on the halftime show, Ed? And now we're talking about the whole meme with the president with the Michelle or Barack. Uh, Julian said only people that don't want to see it for what it was, another distraction.
it was a
Um,
distraction.
yeah,
Indeed,
absolutely.
indeed.
Most people didn't even see the actual post. It was a real. The actual video was from last year to promote a meme coin opinion. Biden was an orangutan. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Sam. I seen the whole thing. I actually seen that. I actually seen it's in its entirety before I seen even what they were talking about with the Michelle. I just kept hearing about it. I didn't know what they was talking about until I actually seen the whole. But when I seen the video, I'm like, well, why they keep talking about Michelle and Barack and not the whole video in this context? Like you said, they had Biden as a orangutan. Was nobody outrageous? How you go? How dare you call the former president an orangutan? You know what I mean? But it's like they rage baiting this. They try to get
They
us
are.
emotional.
They are.
Keep showing that part in there. So black people, how dare he? See, this he's not fit to be in office. Um, um, Ed said, you ever looked at the real characteristics of a monkey? Thin lips, thin hair, very Caucasoid. It raised money for politicians, and that's crazy too, Sam. So again, why is this coming up now? If they did this over a year ago,
That's what I was wondering.
they trying to raise bait us. Um, Ed said I was vibing. And Ed, yeah, Ed, this is the Ed that was on the show with you the
But
last time you was
this
on.
is my thing. People gotta be, they gotta just be cognizant of optics, right? Like
Mm,
for years, that was a racial, that was so associated with demeaning black people,
mm,
monkeys, and so, or even orangutan, whatever it is. All that has been associated with racism when it comes to black people. So when you put the only black president we've had on the body of a monkey and his wife, yeah, it's rage baiting. It's rage baiting for sure. And it's a distraction from the Epstein files. I'll just throw that in there too.
Hey, what's up, fam? I'm glad you brought that up too, because I've been watching a lot of different things, different interviews, and um, I want the entirety to come out because I'm not a Trump supporter or hater. Um, I don't like none of them. Me personally, I don't like none of these politicians, and I say it all the time. And me and Drew, we talk about it on here. We talked about it on here before. I believe we all sitting here watching a stage play that we have no idea what we're part of. I don't believe in none of that other stuff, and that's just my belief. I'm not telling anybody else how to believe or how to feel, but I believe that it's all a part of the same monkey. And for everybody that, for the Trump haters, I want the Epstein files to come out because you're gonna be surprised when you see how many of your favorite Democrats is on in those files as well. And I want to have that. I want to hear that same energy. You know what I mean? When all this stuff get released, I've seen different pictures with Clinton. I've seen different pictures with Obama in there. That was some as this stuff is released. Sam said
It
I've
has
never
nothing.
associated.
It has nothing to do with political party for one thing. Like wrong is wrong. Period.
Hey, what's
But
good, Ty? Good, good, Sam.
wrong is wrong. Period. I don't care who you are. I don't care what side, what party you belong to. Wrong is wrong. Some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
were going on that caused them to be a part of those files. And this is the thing. Like I don't I don't associate with any political party. I've taken my list away from Democrat. I don't do that no more. So I don't care whoever's name is in there. They all need to be prosecuted. Like period. Like period.
Ty said Trump is jealous how much love Obama still gets a weak human being. Sam said I've never associated with being a monkey. Lincoln, the actual first black president, was depicted as an ape. I did see that too. He did kind of look like one though,
I've seen that.
especially from the pictures. And it said you can't blame a clown for being a clown. You have to look at who's attending the circus. That's a good point. Ed. But this is my problem. Okay, Trump, Clinton, Hillary, Oprah, Giselle, whoever. I don't give a damn who you are or what you represent. I have no energy or no time for people that are pedophiles. Let me be clear. You are disgusting individuals when you ain't out here kidnapping little kids. It's like I remember in the 90s seeing an interview with Farrakhan. And Farrakhan was talking about how, you know, there's gonna come a day and age where you're gonna start seeing all these different things in movies and in TV shows. So when it happens in real life, it won't be such a shock to your system. And
Mm.
I never, it was so prophetic to me because we're actually living in this day and age and time now. I forgot the name of the movie that they did a couple years ago with the young man. I forgot his name. Um, but he was the agent that went undercover, that FBI agent that went undercover and brought down one of the God, what's the name of that movie? Um, he pretty much brought down this ring of people, human trafficking kids, um, for that sole purpose. I've heard some of the interviews with the young man, um, and to hear some of those different things that was going on, I literally cried. I literally had to pull over on the side of the car and I cried. To think about the dear father of two sons and to think about how he was talking about how his father would take him to these places and tell him what was going to hurt, what was going to occur, and you know they might fight. They were actually doing snuff films. How he was in there, one of the kids, one of the girls that was kidnapped with him, um, they would make them have sex. While these politicians, both Democrats, Republican, people of elite status, were sitting in there watching, and how they literally came in there in room and shot this girl in the head.
Oh my
How they
god.
will be abusing physically abusing these people. And it's starting to come out more and more because I seen what's part of that on the Epstein files too, where Giselle supposedly sent the email. Epstein supposedly sent the email uh to Giselle, the girl, the lady that was involved, Giselle Maxwell, and saying, make sure that you got plenty of sheets because our friend, referring to the president, will be in town for a week and you know he can't control himself. So in one of the interviews that the young man, what's his name, Sasha? Is Sasha? Sasha is it Sasha Wiley? Help me out, Sam. I know you know who I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he's credible or I don't know whether he's saying it's true or not. I don't know. But I'm not going to not listen to it. You know what I mean? Um, and he talks about how this one encounter with Trump, he literally was like, I'll let y'all listen to the interviews for yourself. But what he did was he took this object and stuck it up Trump as far as he could because he said he wanted to kill him for all the abuse that he was putting him through. So supposedly that's why he can't control his bowel movements to this day. And I've been seeing more and more reports about that um, in the news and stuff lately. They trying to keep it under wraps or whatever. But for anybody, again, black, white, Hispanic, indifferent, male, female, for you to be abusing little kids and getting off on this here power tripping, it is this totally disgusting. Children are defenseless; they can't defend themselves. I hope there's a special place in hell for each and every one of you. I don't care who you are. Um,
Yeah.
that's 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 beyond. Um, so we got to do it. We got to do better as a community as whole, not just American citizens, but as Black people. We got to do a better job. Period, protecting one another, especially children, children
Kids.
that can't defend themselves. Um,
Yeah.
that's our responsibility as human beings, not as an American citizens, as human beings. You know what I mean? We got to do a better job of that. There. Let me see that one of these comments.
I
Boy,
agree
what
with
up?
that last comment down there. I agree with that comment. The
What's
very
up?
last one.
Marv, they two fellas of the same bird. They all do the same things. Ain't nobody going to jail. People
Nobody's
putting
going to.
politics and some horrific thing with kids and some other stuff. Imagine if it was one of our kids. I think a
Yep.
lot would look a little different. Absolutely, that's my point, Drew. Like we got to do better. We got to
So
stop.
they all need
Well,
to
if
be
it's
locked up too. He said
yeah,
that at the bottom. I agree.
Oprah had those girls
Oprah.
from her school in Africa being sent to that island. Not one person talks about that. The head mistress is in prison for trafficking a life sentence. That's what you haven't heard anything else about that school. That's why you haven't heard anything else about that school. Um, I agree with that, Sam, 100,000%. That's why I said open name too. The problem is so many people are only interested because they want to convict Trump to it. Had Trump not been president, those files would still be sealed.
Oh
Probably
my
so.
gosh, Sam.
Hello, hello, good people, blessings. Hey, what's good, Lenise? Sam, all of them needs to be locked up. Oprah too, bro. My in-laws' granddaughter was murdered in Charlotte a few weeks ago, and not a Pete. I'm just glad the three women got charged with the first-degree murder.
Oh
The
my god.
6-year-old was defenseless. Man, yeah, that's crazy. But I agree. I agree with that, and that's my point, Sam. Um, like you said with the Oprah situation, just because people don't talk about it, and you could be very well right. My point is whether Trump was in office and those files were still sealed, we all have enough knowledge to know that this stuff is going on now. So
Hmm.
why are we not doing a better job? Whether it's senators, because from the interviews he mentioned Clarence Thomas being there, um, and he said and he talks about it. He said he could vividly remember Clarence Thomas. He said now he was honest about. I believe he was honest. I don't think that he was making a lot of the interviews up, because he talked about he can't honestly say um if Clarence Thomas was partaking in the abuse or the sexual assault of these young children. He said he just remember him being there because you did. It was very rare that you seen anybody black there.
Hmm.
So when he seen pictures of Clarence Thomas when he first became a part of the Supreme Court, he said he remembered the face because that was the only black male face that he had seen there before. Uh, but again, we got to do better job as people to make sure. I don't know because I believe that the question that I believe is a question that we don't have an answer to until that great getting up morning, which is why we got to stay prayerful in the meantime because this is something new. This is not something new. I remember growing up in Newark, and many people might remember this, but in the 90s, like it was a big thing where we had this. They had these white vans, and girls were getting kidnapped off the streets right there
Yeah,
in the hood.
I
So
remember.
human trafficking is not something that's new. You know what I mean? This is not something that's new. This has been going on for ages, and we got to put a stop to this, man. You know, we watch some of these. You see how some of these different shows, and you got these different governors and people, and all. They, they like I said. That's why I brought up Farrakhan earlier. What he said, because you'll see it where they can't have children. So how they appease their ego and power trip is, I buy this little kid from El Salvador who's gonna grow up to be poor anyway and get them a better life, and I can treat them any kind of way that I want to. But no, when they do it in these shows, they're not showing the abuse that these kids are going through. They're not going through showing that they're grooming these kids to be sexual slaves for the most part. You know what I mean? It's sickening. It's beyond sickening. I can't believe that this is the world that we're living in.
Me either.
Um, but it's just sad. And anybody that's taking a part in anything like that, shame on you. Period. Sam said that's why the victims haven't released the names they threatened to release a few months ago on Capitol Hill. Just like I meant to watch it, I didn't get a chance because my work schedule was so crazy. But there's another girl too. I want y'all to look up. I can't even think of the name, Virginia something. They supposedly unalived her because she shared her story and she released this audio book and it clearly says too that if anything happens to me or I die, it was not because it's not going to be what it looked like. That's why I'm releasing these files now because they don't want you to know the truth about. And she shares the experience that she went through. Sam said, and now this is something that I know. I know Sam knows about the Epstein files because Sam been on this for a while. But Sam said I've been going through the files for our podcast. I've gone through about 400,000 so far. Some of the victims are currently being investigated for becoming a part of it. Um, uh, Julia said, not only Oprah, what was Clarence doing there as a judge? Lock him up too, man. Just lock up everybody that's mentioned, and that's fair. They all knew what was going on there, and that's the thing. Like I said, both of the Clintons, they said both Hillary and Bill was there. Uh, all these people know what was going on this island. That's why I keep telling y'all again too. That movie Blink is Blink twice. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. You notice how you haven't seen Virginia G. I thought her name was Virginia, but I couldn't remember the last name. Um yeah, Sam. And I read it and the people was like, this is AI. No, it's not, because she was on 60 Minutes a couple of years ago, a
Mm.
couple of years back before any of this even happened. So it's definitely not AI. Um, but what was I saying? Uh I forgot what I was saying. Oh, Blink Twice. So is this movie Blink Twice, and I've noticed that I haven't really seen anything from her. But Lenny Kravitz and I almost called it the niece, but Lisa Bonet's daughter Zoe. She did this movie maybe 2 years ago now, maybe three. Blink Twice, and this was right before the Puffy situation in the trial started, before he even got locked up. But the premise is they got what's the white boy name that all the girls was liking at one time?
Justin Bieber. No.
Nah, the actor. What's his name? Uh, cool white boy. Can't think of his name right now, but he was in been in quite a few movies. I can't think. I don't know why I'm shooting a blank right now, but he plays like this billionaire, and he goes to speaking to he goes to speaking at this big event like the TED Talks look like these days, and all these prominent people there. There you go, Tatum. What's his first name? What's his old name? Tatum.
Channing.
Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum. That's it. Channing Tatum is in this movie, and what he does is, he meets this girl, and she's a waitress, and at one of his talks where he's talking to all these billionaires and whatnot, he's like, "Yeah, we go to my private island. You don't have to worry about work, anything else. You can come over here and be a part of the island." And the premise of the movie is these girls go over there to this island, and they don't even realize that some of them been there 3 years, some of them been there 5 years, because the food and stuff that they giving them is drugging them up and everything else. So they don't even know that what they
Mm.
going on. and they don't remember the night before. They take part in orgies and everything else. It was like crazy. But there's no way in the world these Epstein files, Epstein Island, Diddy's whole situation, that these things are just make believe in movies. This stuff is really going on. We live in a devious, sadistic world, and we gotta really pray, especially what's the name of that movie? Oh, Blink Twice. Blink Twice. Hey, what's good, Jay? Blink Twice though is the name of the movie. You got to check it out. It is, and when I watched it, and I was like, why wasn't this advertised like this in the movie theater? It was only in the movie theater maybe a month. It didn't even make any money. But as soon as it came out, they took it off as just as quick. You know what I mean? And that's not coincidental to me. That's not coincidental, especially with a name like Channing Tatum. Like I said, everybody pretty much knows who he is, or people would go see a movie that he's a part of. Why would this not get released and all across the country and everything else? They don't want this stuff to be revealed. And that, like I said, it tied into the same time that Puffy was arrested and everything else. So you would have got even more ticket sales with that timing, but it was a reason that they wouldn't. It was good at said for centuries. Yeah, man. I want to get off this because I'm starting to get a little irritated. But please, like I said, I always say, the ones that believe in the power of prayer, let's really be praying for our children, not just American children, not just black children, but children of the world as a whole, because we don't even understand what these kids are going through. So let's protect them in prayer, um, and be mindful of that. Don't give all away. An excellent film. Yeah, it exposed too much. How about how real it is? Yeah, that's why I said Blink Twice. Sam said it came out in 24. I want to say it was the summer of 24. It
Mm.
was looking too familiar, and that's the point. That's the point. I don't know how many of you all seen the series Paradise that was on Hulu. That's another good watch. That I tell
Mm.
people to pay attention to, because you thinking these things are fake, and I'm people like to call it. Me and my god brother was talking about this the other day. It's funny how people like to call us conspiracy theorists or this and that there, because we actually choose to believe the truth. It's like the truth has become so far fetched you don't want to believe it, so you call it crazy and conspiracy theories and all that there. That's because you call something a conspiracy theory doesn't mean that it's not true. It's just that
Right.
something that you don't want to know, that you don't want out there. So we gotta be real careful with when it comes to those things and that kind of situation. Um, but yeah, Paradise. Oh, I was saying about Paradise because Paradise is the premise of the show is, well, you'll see it if you check it out. I don't want to give it away, but all of these people that's dying, um, I don't necessarily believe that they're dying. I believe that they're making their exit strategy to this sacred secret place that they done paid for, because they know we live in the end times and it's about to get real crazy here. It's about to get real crazy here. I was seeing some post the other day talking about um, a cashless society, and so many people are fans of that, where you don't have any cash. And I'm like, I need you kind of people to wake up. I need
Mm.
you to wake up, because if we live in a cashless society, that's more of the mark of the beast era than anything. When we talk about, bringing Bible context and the things of that nature there, because I tell people all the time, one, the devil does not have red horns or a long tail and is red. That's just the way he's depicted. If you think that the mark of the beast is going to be a tattoo of 666 across your forehead, you're sadly mistaken. The
Mm.
mark of the beast is going to come through technology and all this kind of stuff. Can you imagine if we live in a cashless society where they say, you know what, everything is digital coin, everything is credit cards and cryptocurrency. What about when they say that we're gonna cut you off? We're gonna investigate you because we don't like something that you were teaching as a teacher in your school. Now you got to figure out you can't pay for no medicine. You ain't got no money underneath the mattress. You ain't got nothing tucked away. And even if you got something tucked away, you can't use it. People, I'm telling you, you do not want to go to a completely cashless society. It's going to be that much easier for them to dictate and control everything that you could do and how you can live.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be going 1,000 years back before slavery without the abuse. They're going to abuse you financially where they're going to shut you down. And if you don't, trust me, it's not something that you want to do. And I know it may sound crazy to a lot of people, but you better take heed or at least pray about it. If you think I'm sounding crazy, at least pray about it. It looks too familiar. Look at the credits. Department of Defense is in the credits. Oh wow. I never even peeped that, Sam. Sam, same thing I was thinking. Ty said Paradise is nice. Hey, no one believes Wendy Williams about Puffy. He was alert. He was a gay rapper everyone talked about. um, Sam said, I personally think Epstein ain't dead. Too much of a window in the story, in my opinion. Bible says Lucifer was the most beautiful angel. Absolutely. They passed a bill in 2021 to digitize the dollar and go away with physical money, the Inflation Reduction Act. That's what I'm telling you, people, man. We better be prepared for end time because it's going to get, I keep telling people, it's going to get way worse. It's going to keep getting worse and worse. I agree. Julie said, oh, I agree with you. He alive and kicking. It was too much coming out about him being seen here or there. And that's the whole reason that I brought up Paradise and everything else. Not for one day, not one day in my life have I ever believed that Epstein is dead. I still don't believe that he's dead. And if he is dead, I know good and well he ain't kill himself. People like that, in the position that he was in as an FBI agent working undercover for the CIA and everything else, as much money as that we knew he had, there's no way in the world. He had too much information, so they had to take him off the board. Period. He's not on Epstein Island. He's on a whole another completely different island. But I believe that man is alive and well. Just like a lot of these other people that's up and leaving, supposedly dying. I don't know that if they just removing themselves and going under the grid. Um, Sam said, did anyone see Maxwell on Capitol Hill yesterday? She said she will spill all the beans if they give her immunity. Nah, I ain't see that, but I would love to hear her story. Because this is the thing too. It's not just American politicians. I remember watching the Pierce Morgan interview with Albert over there, Queen Elizabeth's son. He had some of them pictures with Trump and Epstein too, with little girls on his lap. It's not just an American thing, yo. This is something that's bigger. It's about the elites. It's about the elites of the
Yeah.
world. Information is power, Anna said. Absolutely. Absolutely. But so that's why I said it's a cultural thing. She trying to get back to her man, Andrew. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Pat. Hey, what's good too? Andrew. Yeah, I said Albert. Andrew. He was a part of all of this too. Like I said, I say pictures with him. Girl couldn't have been no more than 11, 12 years old, if that old. Sitting on the lap, they just cheesing and smiling. Like, what kind of sick man? Again, that's just the thought of it pisses me off. And then, for them for the dude Sasha in his interviews was talking about how a lot of them they more or less like the boys. Or that's allegedly that's what he was saying about Barack. He wanted the little island boys. He wanted the little boys. He wasn't into the little girls, and it's just sickening that some of these people that people revere and look up to, you have no idea. And that's why I try to tell people all the time, even in church, when it comes to these pastors, these artists, you know what I mean? Just because they up here singing and they crying and all that, they don't mean that they living the life that they portraying before you.
Yep.
You got to know God for yourself. Period. You know what I mean? You can't be, oh man, that's a real man of God right there. That's a woman of God right there. Unless you actually living with them. And you see
Right.
it on a daily basis. You don't know none of this. You know what I mean? They could be just as good as Denzel when it comes to acting. Real talk. Virginia G was in photos on the island with Bill and Prince Al Andrew. Yeah, and she was, like I said, I got to go back and watch more of her story. But y'all get a chance, go look her up, Virginia. Um, what's her complete name? Because I want y'all to look her up for yourself. Uh, Virginia Guffey, Guiffe, Guiffe. Look up Virginia Guiffe, and she talks about her experience, and she was like one of the kids that got away. Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thanks for putting it in the comments so y'all can see it. But when y'all get a chance, check out her story. And check out those Tasha files as well. Um, Pat says you can't worship a man, woman. You gotta worship God. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Pat. As sad as it is, as much as we say that,
People worship
people gonna still do it.
people.
Oh man, I've never seen anybody let God use them like that there and all that there. You don't even know. Like we're not even gonna get we're not even gonna get into it. Know God for yourself. I can't stress that enough. Um, she killed herself last year. I think they took her out, in my opinion. And that's the thing. I don't believe it was suicide either. I don't believe it was suicide. Um, because either one or two things gonna happen. Either they gonna remove you, or it's gonna be the incident like Epstein. Like I said, I believe he's somewhere chilling, safe and sound. Um, I don't believe that he's dead and gone though. So I'll be very careful. Um, I'm very skeptical when I hear certain things, but I've never believed that he committed suicide.
Mm.
People are quick to talk about the celebrities, but have family members essay the whole family. Absolutely, Jay, and that's a good point too. Um, because we can't get them mad at these politicians, but we know Uncle Chucky, like the, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Some of this, and we used to always like to talk about the white community, but we know some of this stuff is going on in our community as well. We got to do better. You know what I mean? I'm the type of person, I've never been fake. I've never been phony. Those that know me personally know what I'm about. If I don't rock with you, I don't rock with you. There ain't
Same.
gonna be no coming to no funerals and none of that kind of stuff there. Um, um, her book is Nobody's Girl. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. And I said I want to read the whole book as well. Her book is Nobody's Girl, a memoir of surviving abuse and fighting for justice. She about to be found dead. She already passed away. Drew. You can't believe Epstein is dead. They killed him. Oh no, you can believe that Epstein is dead. They killed him. Might be very well true, Uncle D. Hey, thanks for tuning in too. That might be very well true. I just don't believe it. I believe he's somewhere chilling. I believe that he had. I just believe that he was too locked in with the government, or the powers that be. I would say, not even just the government, because it's bigger than the government. She's going to steal what they want her to say. Oh, you talking about Giselle? Yeah, she about to be up out of here too. But again, I don't know if they. Well, of course they're gonna make it look like she died or she killed herself or whatever the case may be. But again, I don't know if there's gonna be an extra strategy. Once you guys see the show Paradise, you'll know exactly a little bit more what I'm talking about. But you gotta see it because everybody won't get invited.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like prime example or comparison. If I had a birthday party, right? Of course I would want to invite everybody that I ever met, everybody I ever known, everybody I had a good time with. But this place could only hold 300 people. So I can put it out there, y'all come and party, but everybody's not getting it.
Right.
It's like that when we talking about this end of the world and this little bubble. And these elite and this powerful people of the world, they know that this world with all this nuclear warfare, everything that's going on in the world, they have these cities and people don't choose not to, whether you can choose not to believe it or not. But it's not just California. Everybody that grew up in New York know that New York has a whole nother city underneath the city. You know what I mean? It's literally a whole infrastructure underneath New York City, and there are other places, Italy, Singapore. Um, there's different places that I read about that they have these cities under city. They're supposed to be like bunkers, so to speak. Like when we see the different movies and they going to get to go in the hiding, but everybody's not going to be able to go. Um, she's going to spill what they want her to say. She offered names during her trial, and the judge denied it to reduce her sentence. Uh, Joe said, "Blue 52, Blue 53." Here, my coach Warren, get your yo. What's good, Joe? I was talking about Coach Witt earlier. And one of my teammates, Joe. Good to see you, big fella. Um, how come no one is talking about Bill Gates sneaking antibiotics to his with because he got VD on the island? Absolutely. Bill Gates is another one. Experimenting on them kids in Haiti and everything else. Like I've never been a fan of him either. Ain't nobody boycotting Microsoft. That part. That part. I said Chicago. Yeah, Chicago is another supposedly another one of the cities. But yeah, man, do your homework, man. Stop just believing everything that they tell you. Uh, that would be my biggest thing. Like I always tell you guys all the time, the news is not necessarily the news. The real news is what they're not telling you. So that's where you need to be looking. Is looking at a play. Um, so before we get up out of here, though, did you have anything you want to discuss or ask Shayna?
I'm just enjoying the conversation, learning, adding my 2 cents when I feel necessary. I've enjoyed even some of the comments. I'm just reading some of the comments and thinking about the comments that everybody's making, and yeah, I'm chilling.
Yeah, definitely. Check out that book. Oh, speaking of books, let's talk about your book, Miss Arthur. Um, what's your book about? What inspired you to write the book?
It's called I Can't Help That. It was intended for younger audiences, and pretty much the world around me inspired me to write the book. Just looking at the climate of today's world, I feel like we as a people need to start sowing into the younger generations. We need to start sowing into them empathy. That's part of what the book has in it. Empathy. So into them, the golden rule. So into them, non ideas of being non prejudiced and non judgmental. Because in so many words, I'll just give you a small recap. So there's different children dealing with different things in the book. Everything from ADHD to cancer. And I've me being a teacher, I've been in the classroom where I've seen children look at other children who had things going on. And I was like, it's time for us to talk about these things. The book it's not really a novel. There's not really a plot, but what happens is it can promote conversation with parents and their children about different things. I actually used my own book in the classroom. I had a student that was talking about their grandfather who had cancer. And I was like, let's go on and look at this book that your teacher wrote. I opened it up and I showed the page with the little girl who was sick with cancer. And that was a way for them to connect. The book is a meant to be a mirror book, and a mirroring book is for the children to look in the book and see themselves. But it's also meant to be a window where they're supposed to look into someone else's situation and develop empathy for those other children. So it's literally about sowing into this younger generation. I was thinking, just doing a lot of thinking to myself, and I feel like, a lot of this prejudice, racial stuff going on, it's old. It's dead and it's old and it's stinking. Racism, it's corny. Like, in my opinion, it's old. I feel like these younger generations, although the world is getting wickeder and wiser, I do feel like these younger generations, like these Gen Zs, I feel like they're going to be some of the most woke people. Like, all that racial stuff, they're not going to deal with it. I feel like they're going to have less tolerance than the people of the old times. And I'm just trying to help sow into that. Like, wake those young kids up and let them know that, like you said earlier, it's not just about white America. Like, we're a melting pot, literally. And nobody's going anywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just time to start instilling this into our younger generation. And I, no better than a book. God forbid I could check up out of here tomorrow, but my book is still here to sow into those children's hearts. My
Big,
legacy is still here through those books. And that's
big
a message
fact.
I would want to leave with young people.
All right, cool. What's good, Cliff? You're absolutely right, my brother. God bless you. Al, Big Al, what's good, man? Got to come see you and give me some more music when I come up there, bro. Thanks for tuning in. To that nice show, I enjoyed myself, learned a lot, family. First time I will come in again. Appreciate you, man. So where can I get your book, Shayna?
You can get on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And give them
Mhm.
the title one more time.
I can't help that.
All right, cool. Y'all go out there and support her and buy a book. Sam had a question for you. Sam said he wanted to know your thoughts on public education versus private
I knew it
education.
was coming. I don't know how much time I have. I can be on this all day. I can go based on my experiences. I can go based on because I've taught private. I'm currently in a private school and I've taught public. I actually was an administrator for public schools. They both have their pros and their cons. I can understand why a parent would want to send their child to a public school. It's the real world. They're not being shaded or jaded or protected from what's really out there. And then I can understand why a parent would want to send their child to a private school. If there's a parent that want to delay what the world is going to give them, then I would say for that parent to do that because they are shielded. And so there's also more resources. We all know that, and we know that's it's systematic. There's more resources at private schools, but I get both. I get both.
Mhm. Pat said, I
Talk
thought that
about that
about the
all day, but I
60
know we just don't have
races.
that time.
I thought you were talking, I think she's talking about what you were saying about this Gen Z. She said, I thought about that about the 60s generation. I hope that you're right. And
Yeah.
I wanted
Oh,
to say that
really? I
too.
would love to hear more about that. So,
Um,
so in other words, Pat is saying she was thinking that the people that came after the '60s would become more woke and would fight against things. And
yeah.
yeah, I hope so. I hope I'm right. I
And,
hope I'm
and,
right.
and, and it's funny because my god brother Kev was on the show years ago. The first year that we started the show, and I was talking about that. I think I'm one of those people that I believe that racism will always exist
Yeah,
here in America,
won't go away completely.
particularly in America. And Kev was saying he's saying the same thing that you just said. I don't know, like these younger kids, and I do see the difference as the world goes on. Like a lot of times, because we know, all right, so nobody's born a racist is a taught behavior, but
Mm-hmm,
the more and more of that mentality that dies off,
mm-hmm.
the less likely it is to keep trickling down. You know what I
Perpetuating.
mean?
Yeah,
I think little Jimmy and Timmy, they have no problem with playing with Abdul, and they not because granddaddy say, he look like a monkey and this. I don't think
mm-hmm.
but Raheem, he share his lunch with me. He cool with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they really
Yeah,
vibing off of what granddaddy and all. If you want to feel, I think they more independent in that aspect as younger children.
yeah,
Um, you know what? That's okay if granddaddy like that, but I don't have to think that way. I don't think that a lot of them are going to let racism be forced upon them. And I hope,
right.
like you said, I hope that we're all right in that
Yeah.
aspect.
But this,
Uh,
see, you brought up a thought though, because I know there's certain areas that's blocking Black history, right? They don't. Black history is a part of white history, but
mhm,
I'm gonna go down another hole talking about that. But there's certain areas like Florida, they're banning books. They're trying to stop people from teaching Black history, and when history isn't taught, it's more susceptible to repeating. So, in so many words, going back to your friend Pat, like I'm hoping I'm right too. I know I'm not. It may not be 100% because there's certain areas that are trying to get people to stop talking about racism and Black history, which is all a part of Black history. So hopefully, those kids who are in Florida, they get exposed some way, another way, because I know Florida is one of those places who they're banning Black history or they're trying
mhm.
to. I'm not sure if it's official, but they're trying to ban it.
Sam
They
said, "Is she a supporter of school choice?"
I feel like everyone should be able to go to, if this is what you're talking about, I feel like everybody should be able to go to whatever school they want. They should be able to, if a parent is struggling, let me know if this is what you're talking about. I
Okay,
know
so
being
he
ready.
elaborated right here. He said, "Poor people allowed to being
Yeah.
allowed to have the opportunity and not worry about the cost."
Yes, that's where I was going. I feel like if there's a parent that knows and values what private schools have to offer, she should be able to get some support some way. I do.
Mhm. And that's pretty much what charter schools are, aren't they?
Um, yes and
Or
no. It's
no?
funny because when I think of charter schools, I've taught at a charter school too. Charter schools, in my head, they're a meeting between private and public. They still have some mandates from the state because a lot of them still depend on monies from the state, but yet at the same time they have their own choices in choosing their curriculum in the way they want to run their day. There are things they have to meet, like the common core knowledge or common knowledge. Common, I'm trying to think of the curriculum. It's the public school curriculum. Somebody's going to know what it is, but they have to follow that. Even though they may choose a different curriculum, that curriculum needs to meet those standards of the common knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Now,
But
let me ask you
I do
this.
believe in school choice though.
Let me ask you this while we talking about Black history. Like, one, how do you feel about? Do you feel like is necessary to teach Black history, and that two, if you do, we're like, where do we draw the line? Like, what aspects of Black history are we really?
I
Are
love
we
this
talking
question.
about slavery? Are we talking about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Like, are we talking about? You know what I
So,
mean?
do you want me to answer from what I do at my school or from what I personally believe?
Sure, both.
So I'll tell you this. Me, and it's funny because my assistant is the same way. We don't really believe in like coddling these kids because they're getting stuff from everywhere else. They're being exposed to everything else. Why are we going to hold back on things that are part of actual history? I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I meet my kids where they are. I literally had one kid come up to me and say, "Is it true that Martin Luther King was murdered?" I was like, "Yeah." The fancy word for that is assassinated. Yep. Had another kid come to me 2 weeks ago. Um, where did the whip originate? I was like, to be honest, I'm gonna say I need to look it up. My assistant, she's actually a white woman and she's very woke. And she said, white men used to use it with black people, and we didn't care if that little girl took it home. I don't. That's me personally. Not everybody agrees, but I feel like we'll meet the child where they at. If they're asking questions, we're gonna give them the truth. Why would we lie? Why do we want to lie?
Wait,
So now I do believe that there's a way to put it just today because we're teaching Black history. In my school, we're allowed to. Private school. These I'm at a school with millionaires. I can name celebrities that I walk past in the hallway. But my school is just very, I'm not gonna use the word liberal, but they believe in teaching the full history, not just whitewashing things. So um we actually have to teach about Ruby Bridges. We have to teach Dr. Martin Luther King, and then we get to choose some other Black leaders. I do a different person every day in my class for Black History Month, and I showed a picture of Jackie Robinson getting kicked by a white man because they didn't want him on the major league team. And the kids are feeling it. One girl came up to me, she's a woke little girl, really bright, came up to me and said, "Why did they do that? Where did racism come from?" I said, "Baby, I could talk about this all day, but I don't have the time, but it does go back to slavery." And she's walking away pouting and mad. This is a little white girl. So the gist of the population I teach. I teach mostly white children, but I give them the real. And it's funny how a lot of the parents want them to have me for this reason. The Black parents, they're like, "We really, really wanted you. We are so sad we didn't get you." You come into the pod, the first grade pod, you see, Martin Luther King, like they're checking off what they have to do. I'm the only Black teacher on my grade. I have Rosa Parks hanging up in the hallway, Barack Obama hanging. Everyone can clearly tell that those kids are getting some Black history in my class. And I'm just a strong believer of it. I feel like if history is not taught, it's going to repeat itself. Why are we going to teach a whole bunch of European history and leave out Black history when the two are connected? Why?
Sam said Black history is required to pass 3 courses in Black
That's
history to
good.
graduate from high school if was passed into Florida law. Um,
That's really good to make people take it. Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
Require it.
Julius,
I've never been anywhere where it was required. It was always an elective.
hmm
And then
Julius said
at
racism
certain
is only
schools,
going to be
if not
going.
enough,
Good. No, I
at
was
certain
reading one of the
schools,
comments. Good.
if it's not, if there's not enough enrolled, they just drop it. And so if you go to certain schools and it's mostly white kids who really, some of them may be interested, but a lot of them aren't interested in it. And so
Mhm.
they'll drop it. And so that's
Gotcha.
for the older grades, but I feel like it should be mandated. everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole nother.
Racism, racism. Julian said racism is only going to be gone when we all gone. This is a cycle some people will keep on teaching. It's sad, but
True.
it's reality.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
Sam
I
said
would love to eradicate.
enacting largely via Florida HB 7 in 2022 and updated in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where he got the information about the Black history being taught.
Required. Man, they gotta
Julian
keep
said,
it. They need to
yeah,
keep black
Julian said, I think you should teach about everything of Black history. They have
everything.
erased too much, but you want them to learn other people's history.
Yeah.
Um, and to your point, I'm glad you used that word. Like you said in college, I never went to college, but like you said, it's an elective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm a fan of teaching Black history. Period. I don't think that it should be just taught or highlighted during Black History Month. Um, because we are part of everyday society as far as this culture and how this world got to be where it is. So I don't even like to do I don't even like to necessarily celebrate Black History Month because I feel like we should celebrate Black
All
History
year.
every day all year. Like I always talk about Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas because I know that Jesus' birthday wasn't December 25th.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do celebrate the fact that my Savior lived and died for me every single day of my life. I don't
Yeah.
have to exclusively wait to the season and all
Yeah.
this other kind of stuff. Sam said actually in 1994 it was updated in 2022. Okay, got you.
Somebody said. Somebody said in one of the guests of some of the people who are online. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But there was a quote online that said that racism is white history and black history is how we survived it. So hold on, slavery. It wasn't racism. Is slavery is white history, and that black history is how we survived slavery. And I truly believe
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Talk
I
about it.
believe I believe that to some degree as well. And this is the thing too. I always say like, and I don't not education whatsoever. Again, to each his own. My question has always just been how much of what are we learning is actually factual or something that they pose. Like you take the Bible for example,
Mm-hmm.
and people always talk about you got preachers. You ain't supposed to take nothing. You ain't supposed to add nothing, take nothing away from the word.
Yeah.
All right, well, how did it get from 84
Word.
books to 66 books? How do we have the NIV version versus, you know what I mean? You're taking something away and you're adding something with these new translations, these new editions, where they're not changing it, they're just making it more understandable to the date. That's called changing it.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
You're
So
talking about whitewashing. That's what you're
the
talking
yeah,
about.
and that's exactly what I'm saying. The farther we are removed from a thing, the easier it is to change the narrative. You know what I mean? And that's one reason that I appreciate, and I wish I had did it a lot more when I was younger. But I remember, like we're going to my one of the things about me, just one of my quirky ways was I don't care if I knew you real good or not. Like when I would go to people's houses, I would love to look through people's photo albums. Like with just something about going through the books, and I don't care if you had 5 or 10. I want to look through all the pictures, even if I ain't know the people. It was just something about seeing your history and different things of that nature there. But I would love, like, when I would go down to South Carolina where my father people from, and just hear my aunt Nita, rest in peace, talk about different things that she had been through. And when you kid, man, we don't want to hear this. You want to go out. I really wish I had took more advantage of that
Same.
um as a youngster, because that is history, and that is real history. Them telling us how they had
First
to,
person history.
I would hear different things about my uncles and them talk about how if a white woman was coming down, walking down the street, they had to literally get off the
Hey,
sidewalk
yeah.
and look away. And like, and me and my mom, we have conversations all the time, and my mom will always say, I really thank God that you were born when you was, because you wouldn't have made it back then.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
would have been gone early because I don't understand that mentality. And then, people are quick to say, and I don't judge them. I don't belittle them. They say, well, that was just the way things was back then. That's what you do. You know, I'd rather die for what I believe in than living in fear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just me. You know what I mean? But you can't. You're not gonna tell me that I can't go here or I can't do this. And don't
Mm,
get me wrong,
you,
I
I'm
don't
glad
want to
you
go nowhere that I'm not
do
beat.
events stuff.
Yeah, and at the same time, I don't want to go nowhere where I'm not wanted.
Yeah.
You know, you see what I'm saying? So therefore, I'm not into like me personally, and I don't like I said again, I'm not knocking anything historically. I'm not. I applaud these young men and women and all that there. But when I lived in Little Rock, I got to experience and learn a little bit more about the Little Rock Nine. Um, Here in Greensboro, you had the Greensboro Four, who just celebrated
Yeah.
the anniversary of the sit-ins and all the training that they were going through. I'm not going through all of that to sit in no wall with Woolworth County. For
See.
me, my grandkids, and nothing else, because I
Oh
don't want to. And here's my point of view, and I'm not saying that is right, but this is just my rational thinking, right? Even when you look at think about life, how they try to flip it and make it funny, well, how much it's gonna cost to turn one of the white only pies into a nigga pie, and things of that nature. There, my point is, we fighting for the right to come into these establishments, right? We get past that right, they pass it in the bill. How do I know that this person that I already know? I don't think I know that they don't want me in this establishment. I know
Mm,
that they don't want to
mhm,
serve me.
mhm.
Why would I want to let them go in the back and cook some food for
Yeah.
me to eat?
Yeah.
I don't know what they put in that food. So
I
guess
get it.
what? I'm
I'm
gonna
not
keep my
going in
black hands away
there.
from your establishment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fight to be in any room that don't want me there.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean? And
definitely
again, I'm not knocking that mentality because everybody has to make a
They
stand
had to
at some
break
point
that
in time.
barrier for us, Marvin.
Yeah.
They had to break that barrier for us. Like they had to have you had to have Martin Luther King sitting there taking the violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to have him getting locked up. He had to go through that for us to even be doing what we're doing now. So yes, the mentality is different from back then. Like people, I feel like God called certain people to like I feel like Dr. Martin Luther King was called to do what he was doing. I'm not putting this on, I'm not even saying this like even like in a holy way, but I feel like there are certain people who are called to be leaders, and he was one. He was one. And so were those people who were doing the sit-ins. They were called.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this white woman, I wish I remembered her name. She was one of the freedom riders. Mulholland, I think is her last name. That was a white woman. She was going to jail for us. Like somebody across the lane had to do it. Somebody white had to do it too. And so these are all people who are breaking barriers for us. And they had to have the mentality that was a little bit different from yours. Like I said, we were born in a different generation. We were made different. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think I could have taken what Martin Luther King did. I don't think I could have did what Rosa Parks did. I'm with you. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody
And
had to do
that's just me. Like I said, I think I could have lasted through that time. It just would have been a different version of me. Like I've always been. Again, I don't knock anybody else, but I've always been more, less Malcolm. I've been
it.
I side more with Malcolm than Malcolm. And let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that because as black people, that's one thing we got to stop doing. We got to stop acting like we got to pick a side. It's either this or that. Like you can like Malcolm X and you can like Martin Luther King.
You
You
can.
can like, you know what I'm saying, W.E. Du Bois. You can like Frederick Douglass. You can
And
like all these
Booker
different
T and WB, they
Booker
had their
T.
debate, but you
There you
can
go.
understand both of the things they were trying to deliver.
Garrett Morgan, Garrett
Marcus
Moore, Marcus Garvey, all these people. The list goes on. Fred Hampton. You know what I mean? I would like to think that I would have been more or less in that lane. You know what I mean? If I had came up in that time,
Malcolm
because
X. Yeah, probably.
I'm more or less not just I'm big on belief because and I say it on the show all the time. I think that everything starts with what a person believes.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that is right or wrong, but it all starts with what you believe.
What's in your mind? Mm-hmm.
I have no as somebody that was ordained to be a minister, somebody that was ordained to preach the gospel, somebody that dedicated my life to Christ and said that for God I live, for God I die. I believe in that wholeheartedly. So therefore, that carries over into every aspect of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be if I don't if I'm not willing to die for, how much do I really believe it?
Yeah,
I'm
for
not with
sure.
all this passive aggressiveness here that they always used to use the analogy. Um, when it comes to Islam, how Islam is not a religion. Islam is technically supposed to be a way of life.
Hmm.
What I say is all the time is, we laugh at them, but most of the suicidal bombers and all that there, hey, what's good too? Um,
They're willing to die for it.
they willing to die for what they believe.
Hmm.
So how much do you really believe a thing if you're willing to die? You believe as Christians, if a dude came in a church on a Sunday morning with an AK-47 and said, if anybody said that the scripture tells you if you be ashamed of me in front of man, I'll be ashamed of you in front of the Father. But this dude coming here with an AK-47 on the Sunday morning service, interrupt praise and worship while the spirit is high, everybody crying and snotting on themselves, and say the first 10 people that stand up and say you a Christian and for Jesus you live, for Jesus you die, I'm putting one in you. How many Christians in that church to sit there and stand up and say, listen, you daggone right. For Christ I live, for Christ I die. Well, how many gonna sit there and say, you know what?
Okay.
God gave me wisdom.
Can I come in? Can I come in on that a little bit?
Go ahead.
All right. So, like you said at the beginning, everybody have opinions, right? All right. So, I don't know if that's literal. What do I mean? So, for Christ I live my life according to him. For Christ I die. So that means those things that are of the flesh, I got to kill them. I got to allow them to die. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a way to think of it too. I don't, I mean, Jesus shed his blood for us. I don't know if he needs us doing it for him.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be one of them to jump in the front of that gun either. That hurts.
yeah. So, and
But
that's my
no,
point. And I'm
it's
not
like
saying
putting
that
away that
it's
flesh.
wrong.
You live your life for him. You live your life for him, and then those things that are a part of you that are not like him, you let them die. We're supposed to die daily.
Mm-hmm. Julian said, I think some things are taken out of black history because you had
I saw
black
that.
slave owners.
Mhm.
You also had white slave owners, white slaves. We have to give it up raw and real, forget who gets offended. History is the white man history of their thought process. And said, Pat said, my family was run out of Texas because they pushed back. Wow. Exactly. That's how our people season their food. That's a good, interesting point too. But back to what Julian said right there, real quick. And that's kind of what I was talking about when I was going down the rabbit hole a little bit, saying like, okay, what aspects of Black history do we teach? Because everything wasn't about. And again, I'm one of those people that believe that I don't believe that everybody that's from a Black American descent here in America was brought over on a slave ship. I do believe that we had indigenous people, that Black people that were already here in America before slavery started. I don't believe that. You know what I mean? That's just my belief. I believe that we had indigenous people. It was people here, Black people here in America before the slave ships came. Even though it was more of an influx, of course. But to Drew's point, that's why I was asking about where do we draw that line at and what
Mhm.
aspects of Black history do we teach? Because even when we watch the different movies and we learn about different things, and back then, guess what?
Mhm.
The Freedom Riders, you mentioned them earlier, not all of those people were Black. We had
No,
to have some white people, just
had
like
to.
when you watch I forgot what the name of it was. It was another one that was good on either Hulu or Prime about this young Black inventor that was up in Canada, and he learned he was, oh man, it was like the 1700s, but he was I can't think of his name. He was real good though. He was an inventor and he invented all these different things and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, but guess what? When Harriet Tubman had the the Underground Railroad,
Mhm.
you had white abolitionists in Ohio and all these different places that was giving these people sacred shelter, putting their life on the line.
Mhm.
So I think that they need to be taught and brought into the Black history conversation of part as well,
For
because they
sure.
are part of the struggle. And I don't think that it needs to be so, well, why you gonna talk about white people doing
Nah,
doing
I
Black
got
history?
you, Marvin, because just this is a small point because I do teach first graders, but they're pretty bright, right? But no, I was showing them the video of Martin Luther King's speech, and I literally pointed out, and I would pause the video and say, "Are those people brown skin?" And the kids would be like, "No." And I'm like, "Those people were a part of trying to help black people. Like there were some white people who were on the side of black people." I make sure to point that out because I don't want those kids going home thinking I'm there. I mean, these kids are, most of them are white, and I don't want them going home thinking I'm bad mouthing all white people. But
Mm,
because not all of white people are like that. But
yeah,
I make sure I do that every year. I'm like, okay, there's white people in this crowd. They are for what Dr. King is speaking about right now. And then, it kind of makes them, they fall back and they chill and they're okay. But and I also think it inspires some of them. Like I've had some kids, I mean, they're like, hey, what if the white people, these are white kids, what if the white people had that stuff done to them? Maybe they need to know how it feels. And I'm like, hold on. Dr. Martin Luther King didn't want that. Like I had to say that to one kid literally. And then so they really feel what I put down, especially when I told them that there are some white people who want to help. And so just to your point, I actually teach that. I don't just say, hey, it's all the white. No.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
do that.
I think that is very important. Too said I like her point because hardly anyone would give their life for something that they say they believe in. I don't think they will, and that's my point. I'm not saying that is right or wrong. I'm just speaking for Marv. I like to think that anything that I say I truly believe in, I'm willing to die for. I'm willing to give up my life for it because I believe in it that strong.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be. I would like to think that I will be one of those ones because guess what? If it ain't my time, I always and I said this, and y'all know, especially y'all, like too, you know me forever. I'm not arrogant. I'm not cocky. I've been carjacked. I've had guns put on me. All kind of stuff in the course of my life. I done been through a lot of things that people wouldn't even believe. One thing I will say is like my mom always talk about when it was time for me to go to when I turned 18 and I was supposed to register to vote. And she was saying, okay, cool. She was saying like you're not worried about going to the military and things of that nature. Then I said, look, I said, if God could take care of me growing up here in Newark, New Jersey, he could take care of me across the country. You know what I mean? And I'm just a firm believer in God is not going to allow anything to happen to me that's not a part of his perfect will or his timing. So guess
Mhm.
what? I ain't got no problem with standing up in that church with that gunman. And if he shoot me, if I die, I die. But it might be where the bullet go through me and I'm still jumping rejoicing. It was like the 3 men in the fire, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
10-4.
You had the soldiers that were outside the furnace that it was so hot they burned up according to the
Yeah,
Bible. But yet
yeah.
no, they burnt. You know what I mean? So it's neither here nor there. But we gotta get up out of here because Shana got something to take care of. But real quick before we get out of here, Sam said the largest slave owner in North Carolina was black, John Caruthers Stanley. Anthony Johnson, a black man, was the first legal slave owner in North America. That's interesting facts. I definitely got to look that up
Uh,
too.
I've heard things of that nature. I've heard, and it's up to us to do our research. And obviously, Sam's been doing his research, but it's up to us to do our own research. I remember growing up, and I used to talk to my mom, and I used to tell her, even in middle school, I'm like, why don't I know more about black people? My mom would explain that it was
Hmm.
systemic, which I do believe. But we do have to do our own research because I've even heard that we've like given ourselves to slave, like we enslave ourselves. I've
Yeah,
heard that.
yeah.
And so it's a lot. It's a lot. And we do have to do our own research.
And you have to. I look at it like this. You got to think about it. How scary it might have been for somebody as horrific as slavery was. Can you imagine if
I
this
would have
was
chose
your way of life
I would have chose to
or
see.
your whole existence? Everything that you ever known was in a slavery world. When they came and told you that you free, you could go wherever you want to. How would you gonna take care of your
Yeah.
family?
Yeah.
You didn't know what was out there. At least here you knew
Hmm.
what you is the fear of the unknown. And that's
Yeah.
not slavery. That pertains to every aspect of life. Some people don't want to take that job, because they feel more comfortable. They don't want to retire from this because they so comfortable. Here is the
Yeah.
fear of the unknown. So that covers every aspect, not just slavery. But I feel bad for those people that were stuck in that mentality, saying, you know what? Even though
Yeah.
you say I could be free, master, I stay here because
Yep.
at least I got a roof over my head. I got a
Yeah.
place to take care of my kids, and you know what I mean.
For
Hopefully, you
sure.
won't crack that whip as much, but I'm scared to go out there because I don't know what's out there.
Don't know what it is. Right.
You know,
I
so
see
that
that.
just had to be a way of thinking or a tough decision to make at during that time too. You know, when you to be offered freedom and you never know, you don't even know what freedom is, or how you
Yeah.
gonna make money, or take care of your family, or where you gonna live at, and all these different things.
Yeah.
So we can't take that lightly. We got to take that into consideration. But I really, really appreciate you coming on here,
Yeah. This was good. I wish
chopping
we
it
had
up
more
with us.
time to talk more about that stuff.
Yeah. And we'll,
Oh,
like you said, we'll do a part two, man. We'll get you on the books,
we
get you
gotta
scheduled to
talk
come
more
back
about
on.
that whitewashing. We never talked about that. We never continued that.
We gonna get it. We gonna put a pencil in this one and we get into it on the next show.
Sounds
But
good.
take care of yourself. I hope you feel better and everything else. Um, Julian
Thank
said a lot of people were scared, bro. That's all they knew. Things was beating into them. Exactly.
you.
That's what I'm saying. Not
Mhm.
just not even just physical slavery. You talking about a mental slavery,
Yes.
being in bondage. So that's a whole nother cycle. Pat said, "Thank you. Have a great night. Great episode." Sam said, "Yeah, man. I appreciate y'all.
Good stuff.
We gonna get ready to get up out of here, but I appreciate y'all, man. We gonna be tuning next Tuesday, every Tuesday night. I appreciate your support. Again, run out there and pick up Shayna's book. Let's support her. And congratulations being a student all over again.
Thank
Um,
you. What you talking about?
go Hampton is the Pirates, right?
Pirates.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. But I appreciate each and every one of you all. I hope everybody has a safe weekend, a blessed weekend. Um, stay safe, stay warm. This Arctic freeze on the East Coast is finally coming to an end. Thank God Almighty. I think that we might get some more stuff, but just this little break would be suffice for me. Um, but y'all stay safe. Love everybody. And as usual, in signing off, DeAndre and Life should know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. So next week,
All right.
peace.